And good evening, everybody, and welcome aboard to another edition of Hawk Talk. We're coming to you live from the Hilton Garden Inn, the C.H. Crafts Kitchen. We're here with the folks in attendance, and Coach Paul Tortorella is with me right now as we talk IUP football, and we get ready for homecoming coming up this weekend. And we're going to talk about the game at Slippery Rock, which the Rock won 42-21, the final score. They remain undefeated. IUP drops to 3-2. Coal Bowl's coming up next up, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. Coach, good to have you along here. I know you had the players out for a while today, getting ready for another week of practice. Before you could blink your eyes, the score was 28-0 in that game. Before I think people really got settled in their seats, and so wow, what was the message first of all that you had for them at halftime?
Well, I mean, at halftime, you know, we had some guys that were kind of shell shocked. It just ended up that we weren't ready. We had a lot of guys that weren't ready for that kind of environment. It looked like a little disappointing because we had a lot of guys on defense that were up there 2 years ago when we did the exact same thing to Slippery Rock, you know, except we were doing it and Slippery Rock was down 4 touchdowns or whatever it was. So that was disappointing defensively. Offensively, you know, we have, again, new players that have not been in really that environment. And you could see it with some of the guys on offense. Now, the Comedies, the Laneys, the DeJuas, you know, Stewart, those guys, Ridley, they've been up there and been there, done that. But, you know, we had some other guys that just looked like they weren't ready for it. And when that happens, and before you know it, if you can't kind of stem the tide, we knew that they would come out firing. They're a good first quarter team. You know, they had, you know, big crowd, and we needed to stem the tide in the first quarter, and we did the exact opposite. We made it easy for them. And then we thought we had a chance. We were down 21-0. We had a good drive. We threw an interception in the end zone, a misread by the quarterback. So if we score there, get it to a 2-score game, we're in it. Just like the start of the second half, we had the ball on the 50. We can get a score there. We can get it to a 2-score game, and we throw an interception on the second play of the series, and then they score on the next play. So, you know, we're talking about scoring and going out and playing defense and making it a 2-score game, and before you know it, it's a 4-score game, and, you know, we're fighting uphill, so to speak.
Yeah. You know, with the big start they had and the way they ran the quick offense,
right?
Was this something that they've utilized?
Yeah.
This was nothing new to you?
No, they didn't do anything new. The crazy thing is, on both sides of the ball, when we were getting ready for the game, we told our players they might tweak a few things, but they're going to do what they do, and that's what they did. Like, they didn't do anything different offensively. Defensively, we knew exactly what they were going to play, and they played it. They pressed our receivers up and got after them. We hadn't seen that all year, but we knew we would, and played man under. Didn't blitz a whole lot, and we didn't really never had a chance to get our run game going because we got behind so early. You know, in the second half, we started running the ball pretty good with, you know, both the running back and quarterback. But at that point, you're down 3 scores, and you're trying to fight back, and, you know, it's going to take more time. You need to get a quick score, and, you know, we had some good drives in the second half, but, you know, one of them we got stopped down on the 15-yard line on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, which, you know, really the back missed the cut. I mean, it's there for a first down. You just got to understand when you only got 1 yard to go, you're not going to, you know, try to hit a home run, just make the first down. We just got to be more aware of situations. You know, 3rd and 1, running the ball is a little different than 1st and 10. And just obvious situations, both sides of the ball. You know, offensively, if it's not there, it's good to throw it in. It's not bad throwing an incomplete pass or running the ball if you're the quarterback. Turnovers, there's 2 big ones in the game, and we didn't get any. We said when you play a high-powered offense on defense, you got to get some turnovers. Like 2 years ago up there, we had 4 takeaways against their offense, which, you know, is pretty much similar to what they were playing with Saturday night. I mean, the quarterback's a first-year starter, and he played a great game. The wideout we've been playing against forever. The one running back's been playing in their lines, I think 4 seniors and a junior, all 3-year starters. Those were the kids that were playing 2 years ago, their linemen. They were sophomores. So it wasn't like we were playing against guys we had never played against before. The quarterback was new, and the tight end was new, but that's about it. The receivers, Russell, Sheets, those guys played 2 years ago against us. So I was really disappointed with our defense against their offense more than our offense against their defense. You know, we had some drops, 3 and outs that hurt us, and 2 turnovers. You know, we moved the ball decently, especially in the second half, and didn't finish a drive. So, you know, we got it to 14 with 7 minutes to go, and we had 3 timeouts, and we're trying to win the game right now. We're not just trying to keep the score close, so we feel like we have to steal a possession and get the ball again, or we're not going to have enough time to get 2 scores. You know, we're going to have to use all of our timeouts to stop them and get the ball back. So that's why we went with the onside kick, and they obviously recovered and hit a big play on the very next play. Obviously, if I would have known they were going to recover it and hit a big play on the very next play, we would have kicked it deep. But we had to steal a possession. Like, we're trying to win the game. We're not just trying to keep the score close. For us to win that game, we had to get an extra possession. And that would have been either us making them turn the ball over, and they were being very conservative, and they were running the ball and milking the clock. So it would have been hard to get a turnover. We'd had to use all our timeouts. And we had to get the ball in extra time, and the best way to do it was with the onside kick. So we didn't execute it. You know, they really onside kicks, it's really up to the hands team. Like, if they screw it up, we can recover it. If they don't screw it up, it's hard to recover an onside kick. You know, you got to kick it perfect, and you know, it's just hard. I mean, so, and they didn't. The kid, it wasn't a great kick, but the kid recovered it, and they scored on the very next play.
Yeah, you know, them scoring so quickly really.
Yeah, they had 2 one-play scores. One was a 45-yard run.
Yeah,
the other one was a 45-yard pass. They had 6 big plays. They had 2 big runs, and they had 4 big passes. And we didn't get any turnovers on defense. You know, we weren't great on third down at all. They were in when we did get them in third down, they were in good offensives, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. Whereas when we were on offense, we were in 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, you know, 3rd and 14, tough third down situations. So I think they were 7 for 13, and we were 4 for 12. So that's usually not a good formula to win a game either. But when you give up 6 big plays and don't get any takeaways, you're not playing very good defense. And he was 18 for 23 throwing the ball. He only threw 5 incomplete passes. So defensively, we had 5 incomplete passes. We had a sack. We had 3 tackles for a loss. And other than that, there wasn't a whole lot else we did defensively. And they made some plays. 2 of the deep balls, they're really good throws. You know, they're really good throws and catches. The other 2 deep balls, we just played bad technique and let the guy get on top of us.
Sheets is hard to match up with, isn't
Yeah, and he's a good player. Now, we shut him down he didn't do anything the last 2 years against us, you know, so it's not like he's killed us every year. I mean, he really didn't do anything against us last year. You know, the same guys, they scored 12 points. And 2 years ago, he really didn't do anything against us. Now, we had a huge lead up there. But he's a good player. I mean, he had 5 or 6 touchdowns going into the game. He's caught a lot of deep balls. But 2 of them, he just got on top of our corners where they just played it bad.
Well, you flip-flopped the corners.
And we were flip-flopping, and we were trying to change some things up. But, you know, 2 of the catches and 2 of the throws, they were big-time throws. And the coverage actually was not that bad. It was bang, bang, and they made a great throw and a great catch. But the other 2, we got beat on top. And, you know, he doesn't run very many other routes than goes. Like, he'll run a hitch every now and then, but he's going vertical.
He's a go.
So you can't let him get on top of you. And he did it once to the field, once to the boundary. And then he caught 2 balls into the boundary where we had pretty good coverage. He actually caught the 1 ball, and they ruled him out of bounds because he bobbled it. That was good coverage also. And he did actually catch it, but he didn't have possession of it. So that was 3 times we played it decent. He caught 2 of them, and they were great throws by the quarterback where only the offensive guy could get it. It was kind of like the way Mack used to throw those balls last year. It was like what Mack and Dwayne Braun did to them last year on back shoulders. The quarterback and Sheets did to our corners with over-the-top deep balls down the sideline. And, we got beat four times deep.
Could you get any indication in warm-ups of your team?
No, I mean, we were fine. We practiced. I mean, there was nothing. I've been around a long enough time to know some days you're out there and warm up and you're thinking, wow, we're not really ready to play, and we play great. And there's other times you're out there flying around in warm-ups and you're thinking, we're really ready to play, and we throw a curveball out there and strike out. I was at Akron long time ago. Our pregame warm-up was so bad that Jerry Faust wanted to get on the bus at Ball State and just go home before the game started. That's how bad. We had one guy throwing up. We looked terrible in pregame warm-up. We went out and held them to 10 points and won by 3 touchdowns. So you can't. You just don't know until the game starts.
Yeah, had to be disappointing the fact that they ran the ball as well as they did.
Well, the first series they ran the ball every play but one, and we didn't play the run very well in the first series.
Right.
So when they're running it, that makes it even tougher to stop the pass. Because now you got to do some things to stop the run, and we didn't stop the run or the pass. We did a little better job in the second half stopping the run. They're running the same plays. We're just playing them a little better and fitting them better, but they weren't throwing as much in the second half. And, the game's different when they have a 3-touchdown lead than when it's, 7-0 or 0-0. And, but like I said, too, in the post-game interview, it's also when you're down 3 touchdowns, it's not easy playing quarterback either because they're just throwing whatever they got on defense at you, knowing they're up 21 points and they're not worried about anything. And I think Kars got, into that situation, and then you start pressing and you throw a ball over the middle you shouldn't throw, and it gets picked. And you start pushing things and trying to create things that aren't there, If we could have just ran, we were running the ball pretty good, but when you're down 3 and 4 scores, you can't come back just running the ball. You're gonna have to hit some passes. Yeah. We hit a couple down the sideline, but we didn't hit any deep passes on them. Except we hit a seam route with Ridley once, and we hit Ginobili down the sideline into the boundary twice, and that was about it in our throwing game. And Stewart ran pretty well, and Karst ran well. He ran a quarterback draw. He ran a couple keep plays pretty well. But really, when you look at our offense between DeJour and Karst running the ball and J.D. Younger running the ball, that was 75% of our yards. We had no intermediate pass game. They locked us up and we couldn't get open.
With Karst in previous games where he was at Colorado Mesa and so on. Have you ever been exposed to games at this level?
Well, I don't really think so, to be honest with you, in that kind of environment. I mean, they play some good teams in that league, but he's running an offense that is just kind of like freelance. And, you can take a lot of sacks, which he did there, because they at times told him, make the guy miss. We're not checking out of the play if we can't protect it. And, the keys are the interceptions. If you don't take sacks and don't throw interceptions, you can be 50%. You'll still be not bad. You just can't turn the ball over and take sacks. He only took 1 sack, but he threw 2 interceptions. And in the second half, he other than the first interception, then at the end we were just trying to make something happen. I mean, they were playing 3-man rush, 8 drop. He threw the ball better and his reads were better in the second half. I mean, they only blitzed like 3 times the whole game. They just went strictly coverage, and that's kind of why we had some good running, frames in regards to they were playing the pass pretty heavy when they had the lead, and knowing that like the only way we're coming back is if we hit some big passes, score quick, and on all 3 of our touchdowns, it took us a while to score because they were all longer drives. They weren't like 2 plays like they had and they scored.
Yeah.
And that's how the time of possession got a little bit out of whack. Usually, if we don't win the time of possession and we're playing somebody good, we're gonna be in trouble. If you go back and look at all of our games against really good teams, we usually win when we have the ball more than they do.
We're going to be back in a moment. We take our first break here. Coming at you, Hawk Talk. We're coming to you live with Coach Paul Tortorella, coming to you live from the Hilton Garden Inn. Hope you'll stay with us here on U92Radio.com and on Renda Digital TV. We'll be back right after we take this time out.
Pressure, no hassle. Only one of the reasons to buy your new or pre-owned vehicle from Walker GMC in downtown Kittanning. Make the short drive across 422 and see why Walker Motor Company was voted #1 new and used dealership in Armstrong County for 6 straight years.
Dunkin' Donuts on Oakland Avenue in Indiana wants to show you its new look. Dunkin' is now open and invites you to see the newly remodeled location for yourself. The new Dunkin' has a store of the future look with several new features, such as coffee on tap, mobile order pickup space, and even smart device recharging pads and technology available inside. See for yourself the new look, the newly remodeled
Scale dining. If you're looking for the perfect venue for your next event, look no further than the Meredith Inn. Family gatherings, wedding rehearsal, business meeting, or just a night out. It's perfect for all occasions, and their menu has something for everyone, leaving all full and satisfied. For more information, visit them at themeredithinn.com or call 724-793-7364.
U92. 92.5.
And welcome back, everybody. We're in Hawk Talk, coming to you live from the Hilton Garden Inn. Jack Benedict with Coach Paul Tortorella. And we're here talking about the game last week and about the game coming up. We got a couple of surprises here for you, Coach.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of former players.
Walker Pontiac's one of our
Craig Walker and Ty DeCidero.
There you go.
My goodness, there you go.
And the Meredith Inn, both they're
they're
on top of everything.
We got them all. You guys want to go up there? We got a mic up there in case you have any questions for the coach. You remember those guys?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it goes back to about.
It's the Kittanning crew.
Yeah, the Kittanning crew. Ty was a quarterback, wasn't he?
Yeah, we'll use that term loosely.
Not here. Yeah.
No, in high school, I got it. Yeah. And
guys, you have questions for the coach or just comments? Ty, you want to? We got a mic for you there.
How you been, Coach?
I've been better.
I know. I came up to the game. I came up to the game a couple of times. I didn't get to see you.
No, I know. My wife said she talked to you and met your daughter. And
yeah, they've been talking.
Yeah.
They've been talking. Yeah, things are good.
And
I can't believe how old your kids are now.
Oh, yeah. It's a whole different world now, man.
Yeah.
There's only one at home, and the other 3 are all out on their own. So
yeah,
it's different.
I remember when they were little.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that means, you know what that means? I'm old.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I brought my 2002.
That was cage issued by probably Rogue and Billy Gett and Bob Taylor, huh?
Yeah.
That's who issued that.
From. Mm-hmm.
And that's an old school one right there that Craig got on.
Craig Walker with us. Craig, got something for the coach?
He kind of said what I was going to say.
I got you.
All right.
Well, I think about you every time I see the commercials with Walker Pontiac and the Meredith Inn.
Yeah.
I keep telling your dad I'm going to get down there one of these days, but a little busy right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me know. We'll meet up.
Absolutely. I'll take my wife down, but it's good seeing you guys. Tell your dad I said hello and your mom.
I will.
We're glad you guys could show up because, we like to go back in time, too, and you guys played in the 2002 to 2009 or 10 or whatever, if I remember correctly. And any particular moment with the coach that you might remember that is arable?
Good one. It's my senior year in Clarion. I'll never forget that one. My senior year in Clarion at halftime. That was a good one. And the whole 2003 season, I think we were 10-1. We didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
That one I think about all the time. We had a good defense that year. We had a great linebacking core, great D-line. You were the D coordinator.
Yep. And we were 10-1 and didn't get in because they only took 4 teams back then.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
We were playing some good football.
We had
both
a chance.
sides of the ball.
That
we had a
team was a
big-time
good
chance.
team. They could have made it run.
Yeah.
Mike Jabinson was our running back,
yeah.
and Lytle, I think, was a quarterback.
Then we have a guy named Chris Morgan, who's now a Hall of Famer. Huh?
Yeah, so we had a chance, and we just didn't get in because they only took 4 teams back then.
I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, I do think about that a lot.
Yeah.
The playoffs are different now. So.
Yeah, you got a better chance to get in, which is good, you know. But that was a tough year because that was a good team. And then there's some years before you guys got here in '99, we had 3 losses. We were lucky we got in, and we went to the national semifinals.
Yeah.
And that team was a good team, but nowhere near as good as some other teams. They just kind of got on a roll at the end of the year, and had some luck, really, to be honest with you. But.
We're glad you guys could come relax back there, and if you have anything, let me know. We'll get you, questions for the coach. It's good to have these guys.
They take over since we don't have a guest. They're kind of stepping in.
Oh yeah, surprise!
Yeah, surprise guest.
Well, let's see. You got to get them ready for another game this week. We'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. I had some of the fans had some questions here that they wanted to throw at you. One of them was this, and I totally had forgotten about this. Why did the team come out early for the second half, and there were about 5 minutes on the clock, and then went back in?
Yeah. Well, at Slippery Rock, you probably know, these guys would know, there's 2 locker rooms at their visitors' rooms. There's not one locker room. There's 2 small locker rooms. Well, the offense is in one, and the defense is in the other. And a couple of the defensive guys were obviously not real happy about the first half performance, and with 5 minutes to go on the clock, they took it upon themselves to say, let's get out there on defense and be ready to go. Well, we usually meet as a whole team before we go out for the second half, so we had the offense back in the offensive locker room. Defense, I thought they just went out. They said they were on the sideline, and then the next thing I know, they come back. And then, there was still 3.5 minutes to go, so it wasn't like it was a major deal. It wasn't like we were late getting out, but, it probably wouldn't happen if you had one locker room, where everybody's together. But it is a tougher, you got to navigate through to the other. It's not an ideal situation for a visiting team, but it wasn't a problem 2 years ago when we beat them by 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, there's no excuse in that. It is what it is.
It was just kind of surprising. Here's the team, and then all of a sudden.
Right. I'm sure it did look. I would think that it would look different. They're out and then they're going back in.
Probably most people didn't even.
Right. Some might not notice, but we knew, and then they came in. I guess somebody told them to get back in. I guess I don't know.
Well, it seems as though every time you had something going, interceptions, picks, and that really stymied things. And what you and I have talked about in the past, last year you were able as a team to create things. And this year you have one interception, I think.
Yeah, we just have not had,
is there any reason for that?
We've had our hands on a lot of balls. Now, we didn't Saturday. Like I said, Saturday we had 1 pass breakup. The week before we had 8 pass breakups, but we just aren't getting interceptions. We have recovered some fumbles. We had 3 turnovers, but the crazy thing, and I don't know why this is, but every week we look at the team we're playing and their turnover ratio, and it's like hardly anybody's turning the ball over. And maybe because the game's shorter, that they don't have the ball as much. But it's like every team has 6 takeaways and 6 turnovers in 4 or 5 games. If I had to take an average of us and all of our opponents, I would say nobody in 5 games has over 8 or 9 turnovers. So that's not even 2 a game. I just noticed that actually today when I looked at Cal and, our game from Saturday, that Just there's not been a lot of turnovers in it, either by us or the teams we're playing. And then maybe it's because the game's shorter and you're not getting as many plays because of the new clock rule. I think that might be the only way I can say that.
Another question here from a fan is, what the heck happened in the game afterwards? I mean, after the game was over, and you got two rival teams going to the middle of the field, separated.
Well,
fortunately, nobody got.
Here's what you got to do in that situation, because you can't control it. Here's what happens with a handshake line, which I have no problem with. The last 2 years, we were handshake line, no problem. We won both games. Nobody said anything. Everything was fine. But I was under the impression that something was going to be said, in the handshake line. Now, it might be one of our guys, but the problem is it doesn't matter if it's one of our guys or one of their guys. You got to brawl. So do you want to take that chance, or do you want to just say, hey, we're not shaking hands, and let the coaches shake hands, and that's the end of it?
We've seen, I've seen in basketball. Do you think they should do away with a handshake?
No, I don't. I mean, the difference in basketball, you're 12 and 4.
I'm speaking of general,
No, but
overall.
In basketball, you got 14 guys. So you got 14 chances for a problem.
Okay.
In football, you got 70 chances for a problem. So you go to the handshake line, and one of their guys says something that they shouldn't say because they just beat you pretty good, there's going to be a brawl. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, it doesn't matter to me, the commissioner or whoever or the NCAA. Like, yeah, I'd like to shake hands too, but do you want to shake hands and have a brawl or not shake hands? Just look at the game. I mean, we had one personal foul penalty. They had 5. Okay, so and the one guy should have got thrown out of the game. I don't know if he did get thrown out of the game, the running back, for throwing a punch, but it is what it is.
What's really ironic is the fact that at all the events now in the PSAC and other conferences, I'm sure they have this sportsmanship
code.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean,
but
I get
things
that.
get hot and heavy when.
Well, there's some things said too between coaches that don't show a whole lot of sportsmanship either, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, those things can happen.
We got a personal foul penalty on our opening kickoff return. Cole Waitman blocked their guy to the track, to the fence, on our sideline, and they threw a flag. Like, they told him to stop, I guess, when he was, blocking him by the bench, and he just kept blocking him. So that was one of our personal fouls. There was an offsetting personal foul, and I think they had 2 other personal fouls that weren't offsetting. So
be it.
Yeah.
All right, we have break 2 coming up, and then we'll be back. California's coming up Saturday. It's homecoming weekend. It's the Coal Bowl. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff. Keep all of that in mind. We're going to talk more with the coach, Hawk Talk, and we'll be back with you live from the Hilton Garden Inn, coming back on U92Radio.com.
Save big. Surround yourself with good friends at the Hilton Garden Inn and CH Fields Craft Kitchen, offering breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, private dining, and catered events. Whether you're an out-of-town guest staying at the Hilton Garden Inn, visiting IUP, or part of the local community, they invite you to join them. On Wednesdays, it's Hump Day Happies from 4 to 6 p.m., featuring $2 off craft cocktails, draft beer, house wines by the glass, and half off select small plates. Find out more online or Facebook and make your choice after the big game. The Hilton Garden Inn and CH Fields Craft Kitchen.
Save big during the Dowd's Custom Order Sales Event. Buy one item at Dowd's special sale price and get a second item of equal or lesser value at half off. That's right, every other item at half off. Dowd's has the latest trends in custom furnishings, plus America's finest manufacturers. And the savings are incredible. Plus, get free financing for 1 full year. Drive a little, save a lot. Dowd's of Plumville and Greensburg.
Doesn't your home deserve Dowd's?
And we're at the halfway mark here of Hawk Talk, coming to you live from the Hilton Garden Inn with Coach Paul Tortorella, a couple of our former IUP players, Ty DeCidero and Craig Walker, in attendance here today, coming by and surprising the coach. And I guess we never know who's going to show up, but that's good. Okay, you got to regroup. We know we've got half of the season to go. Fan wanted to know, how do you get your players to get them up for a game against another team that's been a big rivalry in California?
Well, I mean, you got to own what you did Saturday, and you know that's obviously disappointing. But what would be more disappointing is if you don't rebound from it and fix it. You know, what's done is done. Everybody's, you know, discouraged or disappointed. You know, coaches, players, the whole organization. Not losing, but the way we lost. You know, we've lost 4 games on the road since I've been a head coach, and 3 of them last minute of the game. This one was, you know, like I told the team, you could say what you want, but it was pretty much over by the halftime.
Early.
Yeah, and that's just being honest. You know, so that's not something that happens. Well, it hasn't happened, obviously, on the road since I've been the head coach. So it's not something that we accept, and it's not something that we're used to. But you got to own it and fix it. You know, and everybody, players, coaches, offense, defense, special teams. And I told the team, if you don't own it, you will never fix it. You know, don't ever forget it. But at the end of the day, you got to move on and understand. It's like what I tell my kids: if you don't think it's a problem, then you're never going to fix the problem. You know, it's no different than here. If you look at this and think this is acceptable, then it can happen again. Mm-hmm. You know, you got to accept it, know that it's not acceptable, and fix it. And really, the fixing part isn't a lot of scheme and a lot of talent and a lot of that. It's just physically and mentally being tougher. You know, and that's what our program, these guys know, been here over the 30, 35 years since Coach Signetti's been the head coach. One of the things that we've always hung our hat on is being physically and mentally tough, and we were nowhere in that ballpark on Saturday.
Well, you know, does it concern you the fact there are only 7 seniors on the team? Leadership deal, does that enter into it or not?
I mean, not really. I mean, like I said, you know, we're out there with 9 juniors that are starting on defense today. I think 7 of them started 2 years ago as freshmen when we beat them 48-21 there. Mm-hmm. Same guys. You know, and a lot of their players played in that game too. You know, those senior offensive linemen that they have, and they're good offensive line. They were playing when they were sophomores. They played in that game. You know, these guys played in the game last year here. Now, on offense, we have 6 or 7 guys that have never played against Slippery Rock, have never played up there. The environment, the whole thing, they weren't ready for it, to be honest with you. Is that an excuse? No, it shouldn't be, but I don't think they really knew what it, you know, as much as we tell them, you know, they really weren't ready for that kind of environment for some reason.
Yeah. Was there had some positives when you looked at the video, even in a game like this? But one thing is, and I think, is the fact is you guys came back, scored a couple of touchdowns. You didn't quit.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that we, you know, talked about. You know, it's 35-6, 2 minutes into the second half, and we could have packed our bags and it could have got a lot worse. But we did get it to 35-21. We knew when we scored we were going to go for 2. We did that and made it. Then we got a stop, and we got another score and made it 35-21. But in doing that, it took a lot of time. So it was 35-6 with 13 minutes to go in the third quarter. By the time we got it to 35-21, there were only 7 minutes. And that's when we tried the onside kick. Because, again, we're trying to win the game and not just keep the score close. We're not into style points.
You lost Derek Lockhart in the game, unfortunately.
Right.
Give us an update on him.
Probably be at least a month. You know, hopefully he'll be back at the end of the year.
Same knee?
No, it's the other knee. They think it might be an MCL though, so we may get him back in 4 weeks. And that was disheartening. Fortunately, we didn't lose anybody else, and we're going to get back Vaughn this week, and maybe Ridley. I mean, not Ridley.
Hauser.
Isaiah Hauser.
Yeah, I've been asked. I know some fans had questioned that. So, gee, what happened to Isaiah Hauser? But,
right.
But he's been
out all since preseason camp with a hamstring.
Right. Well, it'd been nice to get him back in there, especially with Derek. Derek's one of those guys, and I've only known him since he got here last year, a little bit here and there, to seem to be one of those leadership type guys.
I mean, he's a great guy to be around. I mean, when he was hurt last year, he was our best guy on the sideline. I gave him a game. Last year's Slippery Rock game at home, he was so into the game, injured with a torn ACL, I gave him a game ball after the game. And he didn't even play because he was into the game so much on the sideline. Mm-hmm. So it hurt that he's had some injury issues. Just he's been very unlucky. Obviously, played one half last year and tore his ACL. So he's just, some guys just are unlucky that way with injuries. I mean, he's, strong. He's got, a very athletic body. And sometimes it's just luck. He's not had a whole lot of luck on the injury front.
Another positive that I would pick out would be Cy Clark and returning kicks for you.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he gave you some good.
He got Special Teams Player of the Week, and the thing that I was impressed with was he caught one ball yard deep in the end zone, and he caught another ball 2 yards deep in the end zone. Usually we like to say keep it in there. He brought it out. Like if the moment was too big for him, the easy way out is just take a knee and we'll get it on the 25. He brought both of them out. One he got to the 30, the other he got to the 23. We would have got it to the 25 if he would have kept it in there. But I was impressed and encouraged that he wanted to bring it out. Mm-hmm. Like he wasn't going to, stay in the end zone. And that would have been the easiest thing to do. And, with the score being what it was, it's 35-6. They kick off yard deep in the end zone. It's easy for him to just keep it in the end zone. We get on at 25. He brings it out and gets it to the 30-yard line, and he has a great return. So he was our special teams player of the week. Our punter did a pretty nice job also. He averaged almost 40 yards a punt. It helped us a little bit, especially in the second half, his punting to give him a long field. Mm-hmm. But those two guys in the kick game and DeJour Stewart on offense had a good game. He ran hard. He played well, but he couldn't be a factor because we were behind so much.
Yeah.
And Darius Bruce played a pretty good game on defense, but we didn't play very well, especially on defense.
From the opening kickoff, when I think his name was Wilson, returned to kickoff almost to the 40, 45-yard line. It was like, oh, boy, what a start.
Here's what happens on kickoff return. Things are happening so fast on kickoff return that the officials can't keep up with it, and you could get away with a lot. You could clip. I mean, we've had guys getting cut. We got guys getting hit in the back. They don't see it, and they don't. We had two guys clipped on the opening kickoff, but they didn't call it because it's happening fast. You can't, it's just tough. So by those standards, in talking with Coach Bryce, who's our kickoff return coach, I said, if it's close, go ahead and block them because they're not calling it anyway. Don't pull. Now, you can't just go hit a guy right in front of the official right in the back. That's going to get called. But if you're just on the edge, go ahead and block them because they're not calling it anyway. And believe me, we get caught, too, on kickoff return. I'm sure every one of our blocks weren't legal either. But it's just happening so fast they can't see it.
Did the team speed of Slippery Rock, did that, you were aware of it? It's a little different when you watch video.
Right.
You can't really tell.
We knew. Their backs are quick. Number one, we know he's fast. Yeah. And Sheets, for a big guy, can run also. Defensively, they move pretty well. They move pretty well, but it wasn't a speed. It was more physicality than it was speed, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the will.
Yeah, we weren't very physical, and they were. And they were, believe me, and we weren't.
Well, so they end up 42-21. So California coming up this week. We're going to talk about them. The Vulcan. This is the 14th year for the Coal Bowl. Do you like that concept?
Yeah,
that came
nice.
Along with the Lippincott brothers.
Yeah,
put this
I think
together?
It adds to the game. You're coming off the Slippery game every year. So, it helps that you got something else to play for, whether you win or lose. Like last year, we beat Slippery Rock. We went up to Cal to play. So it gives you something more to play for just the next game. Last year's game, to be honest, while the game was, I knew it was the Coal Bowl, and we talked about it, but we got into the game, and, that finish was so crazy that I completely forgot that, we won, obviously. We won the Coal Bowl. I completely forgot. I was like, oh, yeah, right. They did the ceremony or whatever out there, and I was like, I completely forgot about it.
Well, when the game ends like that,
yeah, right. And it's
10-second runoff.
Right. So, and that was a close game, back and forth, never more than a one-score game, much like our Slippery Rock game last year when we played them. And really, other than this game and the second half at Mercyhurst, most of our games throughout the whole game were one score. Shippensburg late, Mercyhurst game late. But if you look at all the other games, the first two, and then the first half of Shippensburg and Mercyhurst, they're all one-score games until we get to the second half. Now, this one was never, when they scored their second touchdown, that was never one, back down to 14, but, we didn't get it any closer.
I did look it up about playing Slippery Rock, California back-to-back, and actually next year we don't.
Oh, is that right? It does do that?
Next year is the year where you play Slippery Rock, then you go to Edinburgh and home to Seton Hill, and then Cal. But in 2025, it's back to the back-to-back. Figure that out.
that makes absolutely zero sense.
But that's not the...
For 1 year, it does that, and then it goes back.
I know. I was looking...
But listen, everybody tells me about that and talks about that. And my philosophy is you got to play them when you play them. If they're on the schedule and you play them back-to-back, you play them back-to-back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
for the other team, too.
Yeah,
Same deal.
so...
All right, we're going to be back in a moment. We'll talk more about California coming up next. That'll be a 2 o'clock kickoff Saturday for homecoming, and we'll have all the coverage for you, and we'll be back here at the Hilton Garden Inn with Hawk Talk right after this timeout on U92Radio.com.
Surround yourself with good friends at the Hilton Garden Inn and CH Fields Craft Kitchen, offering breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, private dining, and catered events. Whether you're an out-of-town guest staying at the Hilton Garden Inn, visiting IUP, or part of the local community, they invite you to join them. On Wednesdays, it's Hump Day Happies from 4 to 6 p.m., featuring $2 off craft cocktails, draft beer, house wines by the glass, and half off select small plates. Find out more online or Facebook and make your choice after the big game. The Hilton Garden Inn and CH Fields Craft Kitchen.
Save big during the Dowd's Custom Order Sales Event. Buy one item at Dowd's special sale price and get a second item of equal or lesser value at half off. That's right, every other item at half off. Dowd's has the latest trends in custom furnishings, plus America's finest manufacturers. And the savings are incredible. Plus, get free financing for 1 full year. Drive a little, save a lot. Dowd's of Plumville and Greensburg.
Doesn't your home deserve Dowd's?
Dunkin' Donuts on Oakland Avenue in Indiana wants to show you its new look. Dunkin' is now open and invites you to see the newly remodeled location for yourself. The new Dunkin' has a store of the future look with several new features, such as coffee on tap, mobile order pickup space, and even smart device recharging pads and technology available inside. See for yourself the new look. The newly remodeled Dunkin' Donuts, now open on Oakland Avenue. Indiana runs on Dunkin'.
U92.5.
We're back with you live in our final segment here of Hawk Talk, live from the Hilton Garden Inn. Good to have you along. Nice crowd on hand for tonight, including a couple of former IUP players from Coach Tortorella, Ty DeCidero, and Craig Walker with us. Guys, take the mic there. I was going to ask you about, with California coming up, what any particular memory of any particular game you played against Cal? Or as a whole, you know what it's all about?
Well, I was just telling him about when Chris Weidel scored a touch, hit
Through
Anthony Saletti on with like a minute left.
That's when we won the conference up there at Cal.
Oh, yeah.
Remember we hit – they drove down and they had the ball on our 2-yard line, and they were up 4, I think, and they went for it. thinking, well, if they stop us, they're going to get the ball on the 2-yard line. They could have kicked the field goal and made it 7. But Lucky went for it, and we stopped them on the 2. I don't know if you guys remember, that was a 98-yard drive.
Yeah.
And then we hit Saletti like on a 45-yard pass.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you were there, obviously.
Well, that was
and we won the
Kevin White on-
conference. That's how we won the conference that year.
Yeah,
You know,
that was an exciting moment. I think somebody won an award for that too because it was a pretty good finish for us. No, not so much for them. Ty, what about you? Any particular moment with IUP Cal that comes to mind, or any particular game?
Yeah, I remember the running back 2005. I think his name was Jeff Bagwell.
Yeah, Antoine Bagwell. You're thinking of the baseball player.
Yeah, that's right.
Antoine Bagwell.
Mm-hmm. That was the first time we lost to Cal in a long time, and I just remember he was a very talented kid. They were good that year.
Yeah,
they were very good.
He was a legit running back.
Yeah, I remember him well. Yeah, they've had some pretty good quarterbacks come in there too in their time. All right, let's talk about this Cal team. They're 3-1. They lost the first game by not even playing because Alderson Broadus was their opponent, and Alderson Broadus closed down the door, so there was no game. And so they beat Kutztown, they beat Edinburgh, they beat Clarion last week, and they lost by 10 to Shepherd. Give me that's some pretty good competition right there.
The last 2 weeks they've handled Edinburgh and Clarion pretty easy. Yeah. Their first 2 games, they opened with Kutztown, and they came back and won the game. It was a comeback. The next week against Shepherd had to come back in the second half to beat Cal. So they had, obviously the Shepherd-Kutztown deal, we were on that 2 years ago. That, crossover. That's not an easy crossover. And but they had them both at home, which helps. Mm-hmm. They've only played one road game, which was at Edinburgh. They've got a new quarterback. He's big like the other guy. He's 6'5". He's played very well for his first 4 games. They lost some receivers, but they got a fast. Willis is a really fast receiver. He may be the fastest guy in the league.
So he'll remind you of Russell from Slippery Rock.
Yes, and he's not as small as Russell, but he's not real big either. And they've got 5 or 6 guys back on defense that have been playing there a long time. Solomon and Toby and just a lot of we call them usual suspects, the guys that have been on their roster forever. We have our guys too. We have our guys that have been playing forever, and we always look at the team we're playing's roster and we're like, this guy's still playing, this guy's still playing. And then I'm sure everybody does that about our guys too.
And then with COVID,
that's what it's even worse with COVID. It's even a year longer. But they're scoring a lot of points. They're using a couple different running backs. They got a really good offensive scheme. They're well coached. They've always played great defense. They'll pressure you. They're a pressure defense. They're very aggressive, physical. They play hard. They're probably when you play them in Slippery Rock, those are the 2 teams that are really athletic. And Cal doesn't take a back seat to anybody that way. They got a lot of good athletes on their team, especially in the kicking game. So, much like our games with Slippery Rock and with Cal, other than this past Saturday, usually they're 1-score games that go down to the last minute of the game.
Yeah. You mentioned the quarterback, Davis Black. You mentioned big guy, 6'5", 230. He's transferred from Charleston.
Yeah.
Now, Luke Barker's still down there, former coach.
Right.
So you get some inside information there.
I think he, if I'm not mistaken, the timing, I think he became available in the portal after we already got Karst Hunter, because he got in the portal down there. We saw he was in the portal, but we really didn't do anything because we had already got a commitment from Karst Hunter. Mm-hmm. So he ended up at Cal. He's from the state of Ohio. Played high school football in Ohio. He's big. He's 6'5" now. He's all a 6'5". And he's fairly mobile for 6'5". He can scramble and run a little bit. He gets outside the pocket. But he can throw it now. I mean, he's a big body that can really throw the ball down the field, and they play with 3 and 4 wideouts most of the time, similar to Slippery Rock formationally. And with Willis, they got a good receiver. They've got other receivers that are good players too with speed. So we're gonna have. I mean, they're averaging 30 some points a game. I think. What is it?
Yeah, they're
30,
up there.
35 a game. They scored 40, I think, on Kutztown, or 31 on Kutztown. They had 30 something on Shepherd. Those teams are pretty good on defense, Kutztown and Shepherd, and they scored 30 on both of them. A lot of big plays, like the Shepherd game. They hit a 85-yard bomb and a 95-yard screen for a wideout screen. The same guy, Willis.
Wow.
He caught a post for 85 yards for a touchdown, and he caught a rocket screen for 95 yards for a touchdown. So those were 2 of their touchdowns, 85 and 95-yard passes. And they hit some big plays against Kutztown too, in the pass game. So, again, you can't give up the big play on defense. We gave up 4 passes that were big passes last week, so we got to get that fixed.
Regardless of position, do you expect to make any personnel changes?
Not really. I mean, we got the guys that we have, by and large, they've played fairly well going into the Slippery Rock game, and we didn't have a lot of guys that played very well against Slippery Rock. But, if we were changing on that, we'd have a whole new team for this week. I just, like I told the players today, they know that, I just tell it like it is. I don't, try to sugarcoat. If we were going to bench guys that didn't play well, we'd have to bring a whole new team in. They understand that.
Yeah.
So we're not doing that. We're playing with the guys we have.
The fact that it's homecoming and there's so much surrounding the weekend, you've handled it preparing for the homecoming game in other ways. You still do that?
Yeah. We try to get them away from town and up. We got on our travel squad, I'd say 90% of our travel squad lives off campus in apartments on Philly Street, and homecoming Friday night, there's a lot of noise and a lot of ruckus, so we try to control it and limit the distractions for our guys for homecoming. And especially like last year's team was older. There were a lot of seniors, and the year before we had a good pretty good group of seniors. This team's still fairly young. We only got 7 seniors on the whole team.
Right.
Now with COVID, everybody's a year older, but you got to get them ready to play, and then you got to make sure that they can be ready to play full go on Saturday.
Yeah. You have one of your coaches, your offensive coordinator, is Larry Wilson.
Right.
He previously had been at California.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the second year now he'll be going against his old crew. Do you get a little inside information? Does that,
he knows,
go on among coaches?
He obviously was on offense with Coach Dunn and Coach Salisbury, so he knows, what they like to do. And, I mean, it's not like we know their calls and we know their plays and we know it's not that at all. But, he has some insights into, he was there on offense and some of the things they like to do and how they coach it. I mean, that happens wherever you're at when you have a coach that was previously at another place that you play in the league. Mm-hmm. Fortunately for us, we don't have many coaches leave and go to other places. Now, Jake at Edinburgh, he obviously knows how we do things, so that's an advantage for Edinburgh when we play Edinburgh. And he knows the personnel. Larry recruited some of these guys. Especially the older guys, because he was there 2 years ago. So he does know the personnel of guys he recruited on defense. Mm-hmm. But he knows their offense, but it's not the same offense. I mean, it's not like he knows the plays or what the calls are. Or he just may offer some insight into what Gary and Chad like to do in certain situations. That's all.
It's interesting how many new quarterbacks in their first year, whether they're transferred or whatever, that we're playing against, and all these guys are pretty good.
Well,
so it looks like the coaches are making good choices.
Well, the impressive thing was Slippery Rock's quarterback. We recruited him out of high school. If I'm not mistaken, one of his parents went to Slippery Rock. But anyway, the point I'm making, he's been there for 3 years. He hasn't played a whole lot. But he's done a good job learning and getting better, and they've done a great job developing him because, to be honest with you, Saturday he played as good a game at quarterback than I'd have to think long and hard, other than maybe Badgett, who's played better against us since I've been the head coach.
Well, he had no turnovers.
Well, he made some throws that were just, they were perfect throws. And they're not 5-yard passes. He's thrown the ball 40, 45 yards down the field. Yeah. He didn't miss many throws. And he handled their offense with their check system well. So very impressed with how they've developed them, how he's developed. He's waited his turn. He very easily could have said, you know what, you brought a transfer in, playing for 2 years, I'm going in the portal. He waited his turn, and now he's a junior. And like I said, other than Badgett, since I've been the head coach, we haven't had a quarterback play as good as that guy played Saturday night, and all the times I've been here as a head coach.
Well, that's a pretty strong statement, and a good one at that. We've seen some really good ones. Well, I just have a couple of minutes to wrap it up. Coach, have a good week practicing, and we'll see how it goes Saturday.
Right.
We would be surprised if you don't play a good game. I'm sure that the players feel the same way. But
right.
the thing is, got a half a season to go.
Yeah, there's a lot of football left. You're not even halfway home yet, and no matter what, you got to keep getting better. We obviously took a step back. We were getting better the last 2 weeks, and then last week, we threw a gutter ball out there, so to speak. And we took a step back, so we've got to do a lot of things here to get back to where we're improving each week. It's one game at a time. Obviously we always say the next game's the most important game, but you got to get better, during the week to give yourself the best chance to win this Saturday, because that's right now, as we sit here Monday, that's all that really matters is this Saturday's game.
Haven't played your best game yet.
No, we haven't. We really haven't. We've played in spurts. At Ashland, we played in spurts really throughout, other than Saturday. We just didn't play very well almost the whole game. But the first 4 games, we've played really well at times, and then at other times during the game, we've not played well. So we've just played in spurts. We really haven't played a 60-minute game yet. So, playing Cal, we better play a 60-minute game or we'll be in trouble.
Got compliments at C.H. Fields Craft Kitchen.
Okay,
for
great.
You, gift certificate there, Coach. And
appreciate that. Thank you.
Bring the family and have.
Oh no, that would cost a lot more than that gift certificate.
Well, that'll take care.
You have all these kids, but they're not here anymore. 3 of them are away. There's only one left.
There
so
you go. Oh yeah, you're good. Hey, good luck. Have a good practice week, and we'll catch you on Saturday.
Appreciate it. Okay. Thanks, Jack.
Coal Bowl coming up, 2:00 kickoff, homecoming Saturday. We'll have it for you on U92Radio.com. Thanks to Ty DeCidero and Craig Walker for coming, and the whole crew, and Daniel Pisarczyk, our producer. For the coach, this is Jack Benedict. Have a major league night.